international migrants, global talents, if you like to put it that way, have actually doubled. So today we have around 200 million people moving around globally. If you look at the internal movements in large countries such as China, such as Brazil, such as Russia, you can kind of double or triple or multiply that number with 4 or 5. I mean, at this point there are about 700, 800,000 people, if not more, who are actually moving around or part of the mobile workforce. This is exciting. We have never seen this before. And also because people are moving in so different ways that they have done before. So if you kind of think of it, today we have around 1 out of every 33 people, between 30 and 33 people, is part of the mobile workforce. That's a lot. There's so many people actually moving. So the potential to recruit today is so much bigger than it has been. But all this is, of course, happening in a situation where everybody is experiencing the same challenges. We have, well, my Estonian isn't that good. I don't speak Estonian, actually. So I've been listening to the translation, and what I could hear was that, well, you also talk about the demographic trends. Of course you do, because it is, I mean, the demographic trends are actually something which is transforming and changing your country the most. And this is something every developed country, but the whole world that is actually experiencing, that the demographic trends, the negative demographic trends, are changing and transforming our countries. So the competition has become so fierce. It's so fierce. People are really taking on different measures, new measures, creative measures, unfair measures, cynical measures, in order to actually recruit the talents they want. So in Denmark, when the Danish Immigration Service asked me, who can we expect of the future immigrants in 2018? I said, who do you want them to be? Because no migrant is coming to your country unless you're actually doing something proactive in order to attract them. And this is kind of the baseline in migration today. Nobody will come unless you do something. So this was kind of the beginning of my presentation. I will start by looking a little bit on Estonia and look at different facts about Estonia. I was in Statistics Estonia, so a very fun place to be on a Friday evening, and looked at the different statistics to see, well, how is your demographic trends, how is your economy, etc. And one thing I discovered was that the fertility rate in Estonia is about 1.63, and life expectancy is around 70 years old. I mean, your fertility rate compared to other European countries isn't that low. If you look at the different countries in South Europe, it would be around 1.2 or 1.3 for Spain and Italy. So it's not that low, but it's still on the replacement rate. And also longevity is, of course, also prevalent here. At the same time, if you look at the demographic labor pressure index, the demographic labor pressure index is when you look at the ratio of people between 5 to 14 years old who will during the next 10 years enter the labor market and compare them with the people between 55 and 64 years old who will leave the labor market, then you can kind of see, well, how does your labor pressure index look like? And if you say, well, if it's over 1, then you have a positive. Then more people are entering your labor market than people are leaving your labor market during the next 10 years. But you see, your labor pressure index, as I could see in 2009, was the lowest ever. So you can expect for the coming years that the difficulties you're experiencing now would just dramatically extend and be more fierce. This is something which one of the earlier presentators and also some of the people on the video said. But when you look at it, today in Estonia, more people are actually leaving Estonia than people coming in. If you look at net migration, which is emigration minus immigration, you see that you have a negative development. So for every 1,000 people, around 8 are leaving actually. So it's negative. And the problem is actually, it's not so much because if it was the unskilled and the people very hard to integrate in the labor market, then you could say, well, who cares? But it's actually not. It's the young people. It's the young families. It's the students who are actually leaving. And I've been looking at one slide. I will present that to you later on, which actually shows that this is pretty critical, especially when you're experiencing an economic growth. More people are actually leaving you. One last thing is then when you look at your demographics and when you look at how the coming 10 years are going to look like for you, you would expect that you would open up. Let me first say I'm from Denmark, and if you know the Danish immigration policies, you would know that we're pretty strict ourselves. So I'm not here to point fingers at you. I'm just coming here just to say, well, we are actually having some problems in this area you need to address and focus on. You have a very selective immigration policy. Between 2004, this is the development between 2004 and 2009, you can see that short-term employment permits were halved. Work permits were reduced to a quarter. Resident permits for employment doubled. Residence employment, these are the people who already have a job before entering your country. And so this is actually, it's not a very inviting signal to send out. This is the same situation in Denmark, but still, it's not a very inviting signal to send out. You really need to be self-sufficient, and you really need to adjust to our society and labor market before you can enter.